It's your boy Jay Riddy, and I want to welcome you all to Marking Out Amongst Friends, episode 1 of 2018. I'm very excited for this episode. First and foremost, because of the topics that we have, it's Royal Rumble, the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, one of my personal favorites. But most importantly, why I'm excited about tonight's episode, I have one of my very best friends, one of the longest people, one of the people I've known the longest of my lifetime, probably the longest friend that I've had. Everybody, welcome my boy Wayne Cook to the show. Tell you hi to the people, Wayne.
What's going on?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Wayne, how's it feel being on your first podcast?
It feels great, man. It's an honor to have my first podcast with you, being as good as friends, not just friends, but just wrestling colleagues. It's definitely exciting. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. And this is definitely, if you guys want to do this in the future, you're welcome to come on anytime. And that goes for anybody. I'm willing to have anybody on the show in the future to discuss an array of topics. Tonight we have a lot of big topics to go over. Of course, the top story we want to go over tonight, probably the biggest story in wrestling right now, is the demise of Enzo Amore. So for those who are listening, I don't know if anybody is familiar with this story. Maybe you've been under a rock. Maybe you just haven't been watching, WWE. Maybe you're one of the hipsters who don't like to watch, the main roster, quote unquote. But Enzo Amore used to be one half of Enzo and Cass, cruiserweight champion. Seemed like he was on top of the world in his singles career. And then a case comes out this week, and he is accused of raping a young woman, and is currently under investigation. Roger, or Wayne, excuse me, I'm sorry. How familiar are you with this story?
I've been following this past week. As far as I understand, there was the accusation, which of course led to the departure. However, I'm kind of fuzzy on the details underneath that kind of led, I guess, acted as I guess leading events. There was apparently there was some kind of backstage things going on, I guess, with his character or performance. But overall, I mean, I do understand the rape thing was kind of like the icing on the cake.
Cool. So what's your opinion on the whole situation? You feel like he's innocent? Do you feel like he's guilty? And do you really care? Is it I don't care where these days goes situation?
I mean, I guess going back to the beginnings of NXT, man. And I was okay with Enzo and being with Cass, but I really, really started liking him when he went off on his own and became heel. I feel like that was such a more raw side of Enzo that I didn't really think was there. I was really proud of him, being able to hold his own, especially as a smaller guy in WWE. So I really enjoyed seeing his ascension, and he brought so much flavor to 205, and just as an accusation like that. Like I said, I'm still fuzzy on the things beneath that, but like just an accusation, making him plummet from such a mountain I feel he was on. It hurts me. It's like if I can't help but put myself in his shoes. Well, I kind of was in his shoes. A similar situation happened to me a long time ago. I mean, not rape, but girl said something about me wasn't true. Led to all kind of backlashes and things. I can't help but feel bad for him. And just to think that it might not even be true or exaggerated. I did hear or read that she was in some kind of mental institution, and there were screenshots going on about and I can't confirm that they're the actual screenshots, but her story changing just to think that, him, doing so well and having to be, let go of something that may or may not happened, or not even an investigation, it truly breaks my heart.
Absolutely. I can agree with a lot of what you were saying there. Definitely, I'm very torn in this situation. Um, I don't know. I think I'm about 50-50. I'm really on the fence on this whole thing. Just about Enzo. I mean, with Enzo, like you said, I just think back to NXT, and I think that he and Cass were pretty much the hottest tag team in NXT during their time.
Mm-hmm.
Very huge face in a generation where it's very hard to get over as a face and be a marketable face in this generation. And I think that he and Cass really embodied that whole um, Jersey Shore type gimmick, obnoxious, almost Guido-like, characteristics. He's running around. Cass is pretty much the muscle, and he's the loud mouth. They complimented each other well. Everybody was huge fans of Enzo back in NXT, but it just seemed like the whole gimmick got stale. And I think that a lot of the people that supported Enzo before kind of turned their backs on him a little bit after the whole feud with Cass and then breaking up and then going on his own. A lot of people murmuring that he can't wrestle or anything. I'm really like, I think the guy's really living his dream out there, or was living his dream. I think that he had I think the character issues are really what put him over the top. I think he's gotten in trouble doing other things. He wasn't really well liked in the locker room. I think they said that they were making him change in the hallway at one point in time. But I mean, this is a really serious accusation, man. I hate hearing things like this. It's been a lot of stories like this coming out, whether it's rape or, sexual harassment or sexual assault and within famous people. And it's just really, it's one of those things whether you've done it or not, it's just something that you can't really come back from once you're accused. And I think that that's really the main thing that I feel sorry for, because it's just like, if it comes out that he didn't do it, or the story comes out that the charges are dropped, it's like, well, where am I going to work in this town again?
Reputation's already shot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But on top of all of that, a lot of the reputation before that, he kind of brought upon himself as well. So I think that's what really makes me like 50-50 with this whole situation. Honestly, I really hope for the best for the guy. I hope that the accusations, of course, aren't true. If they are, I mean, I can say that he got everything that was coming to him, but if they aren't, I really hope that he can get everything back on track.
Yeah, as far as your 50-50 goes, I totally understand and respect, that you got a 50-50, but if it came down to 50-50, if you want to put a jerk and a rapist on a scale, I would, of course, say, rapist outweighs jerk tenfold. So I feel like to kind of associate that with this, I feel like they're unrelated. I mean, if they want to fire him for being a jerk, I just feel like they didn't really have his back as much as I would have appreciated. I understand from a business, standpoint, they want to protect their brand. I get that. But I don't know. I felt like he was just done wrong by being let go. I mean, suspension, whatever like that, let the world know that he's at least being reprimanded until, there's further investigation. But if you want to fire somebody, over their character or whatever, we read about Enzo, then just use that as your excuse. So don't, at least he has other opportunities to, go elsewhere. If it's just a character thing, he can always go to, everybody goes to TNA after, after a firing. But, with a rape allegation, like, where can he really wrestle in the States?
That's a very good question. And in my opinion, I don't really think that there's anywhere. I mean, of course, you have to consider not only the charge, but, you know, a lot of times when famous people get into these situations, the only time they're able to, you know, kind of overcome that situation or still work is depending on what type of talent level that they have. I don't know how familiar you are with, you know, basketball and football and things like that, but the guys who, you know, or the whole Colin Kaepernick situation even, kind of different when it goes to, you know, their situations. But I mean, you know, Kaepernick standing up for social injustices and can't get a job. And you can't help but wonder if he was an elite talent that you just couldn't look past, you know, it would make a huge difference. And I think I see similar things for Enzo Amore. I mean, you know, you feel bad for the guy. He's got a famous name. But I mean, would you, as the owner of, let's say, TNA or Ring of Honor or any of those other federations, would you hire Enzo Amore to be a big part of your company after this whole situation?
That's an interesting point you bring up, man, because like, you know, rape is rape. I don't care, you know, how big you are, how good you are, you know, how, you know, financially valuable you are. I don't think, this is my personal opinion, that, you know, whether or not somebody should be, you know, hired or, you know, looked at should be based on, I don't know, like how good you are. I mean, like, if it had been The Rock, would he have been as quick to discard as Enzo? Or I don't really think that's fair to say. You know, it depends on who you are. It depends on how much punishment you receive for such an allegation as serious as rape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, you should look past the situation for a talented person. But what I mean is just like after it's all over, even if Enzo comes out innocent in this situation, is the talent level there where you're going to want to take the risk on him?
Absolutely. If you're saying that the allegations are false, absolutely. And the first thing that came to mind when you said that is Paige. No, I haven't seen anybody. Well, I've seen, you know, plenty of, you know, internet people making jokes, but like, you know, Xavier Woods got the most heat out of that situation. And he was one of the many in her videos. But it seems like when Paige came back, you know, her, you know, getting things leaked on the internet, her defiling the company property. I have not seen or heard any reference to that on her behalf. So it's just odd to me that, you know, depending on who you are, depends on how much heat you get for your actions.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, and that's kind of the point that I'm making. I mean, you know, as far as women's wrestling goes in the WWE, you know, of course, the whole women's revolution, you got Sasha Banks and Bayley, Charlotte, Becky Lynch. Now you see the emergence of Alexa Bliss. But Paige is an elite talent when it comes to women's wrestling. Not always been my favorite, but you can't deny her wrestling ability. And I think that's one of the situations why, you know, you see them kind of move past it. Just like with Randy Orton's star ability, you know, Randy Orton has probably broken the wellness policy more than anybody that you know of, and continues to get world championship title opportunities. But when we are referring to someone like Enzo, I mean, what does Enzo's talent bring enough to the table? And you know, I hate to say it like that, but does his talent bring enough to the table to say, I'm willing to take the risk and sign you, and not only take on, you know, whatever happens, but to take on the backlash from the public? Because, you know, the public, the court of society is going to let you have it no matter what situation it is. So I mean, you know, they're gonna get ripped on social media. You got to be prepared to get ripped on social media. You got to be prepared to have all of the feminists attack you. You know, even in the situation where even if he comes out innocent, I mean, you're still gonna have all of the people. Well, you know, he's a loose cannon and blah blah blah. I don't want that type of headache. If you sign this guy, I'm not going to watch your company and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, if you're a WWE or you're a New Japan, you can take that. But when you're somewhere where you're trying to get more viewership, it's kind of a rough. That's kind of a rough sign to bring on. I can't promise that I would bring in Enzo Amore if I'm, say, the head of Ring of Honor or the head of TNA, Impact. Well, if I'm Impact, I might sign Enzo Amore just because your last name.
Because nobody watches it.
you know, um, but I think that I think that if it wasn't for this whole situation, I really feel bad for him just because I mean he's a huge talent when it comes to the microphone. I think he has really, really
Oh yeah.
like he's got a rare ability to really work a microphone, heel or face, for someone who's not formally trained on cutting promos and formally trained on wrestling. Like Enzo is kind of like before he got to the WWE, he had the wrestling resume, say, of you or I. He never worked in a indie company. He was, playing basketball, and he just decided to send in a tape of cutting a promo. He got a tryout, and he went as far as any quote unquote dreamer would love to go. But it's just it's the backlash from the locker room, and this is not the only story that I've heard about him getting into situations, outside of the WWE. I think there was a situation when he was in a strip club, and he didn't pay like the stripper or anything after a dance or something, and was about to get kicked out or some situation like that. Like I don't know the full details on that story, but it's a lot of stuff that comes out about him. He obviously loves the whole rock star lifestyle. You see pictures of him on Instagram hanging out with Post Malone all the time, and it's just, I think that the lifestyle, he just ran into one of those things that's a negative part of that lifestyle.
I'll say two more things about Enzo. What you just described sounded to me a lot like the reputation and relationship of Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, the Clique. Just hearing it, reading stories or watching, clips. From what I remember, they had kind of like a general, like a kind of a general status amongst the backstage locker room. They weren't well liked because they had so much control, and they were the partiers. They especially Shawn Michaels, the cocky, but all legends. Second, as far as value goes, I think Enzo is valuable to the future. I feel like he brings today's generation, or the culture of today, to the WWE more than anybody. Just listening to his promos, I think he makes the most references to hip hop culture, things like that. I feel like if WWE is so focused on the future, I think he was great for providing that. So I felt he brought that as well to the WWE.
I can agree with that. I mean, yeah, Enzo had the most swag out of anybody in the current roster. He definitely is up on the current hip hop style. I see you. I mean, it's just the gear that you see him come to. He's always dressed in Supreme or Jordans or things like that. He stays up on it. I'll give him that. He definitely is in the current culture, and I think that he definitely could have bridged the gap for the younger crowd. But we'll never know pretty much what his what heights he could have reached now that he's no longer with the company. I definitely hope for the best for him for the future, and I'll definitely end on that note. Bringing up Enzo will definitely bring me up to my next topic, which is something that I never really thought would be a big topic of discussion on my show, but the Cruiserweight Championship. Of course, we know that because of Enzo's firing, he was the Cruiserweight Champion at the time, definitely opened up the title picture. 205 Live is definitely a show that has a lot of great talent on that show. A lot of guys that can really, do some moves that'll wow you. On On 205 Live earlier this week, there was a critical, I don't know if I want to say critically acclaimed match, but I mean, it was a really big match that has a lot of people talking between Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali. Other than that match, one of the highlights of 205 Live this week, Daniel Bryan made an announcement that there will be a new general manager of 205 Live. So 205 Live is starting to become a little more official. We're going to get an actual general manager of the show, and that new general manager will be announced next week, and they will announce pretty much the future of the Cruiserweight Championship. Wayne, I guess I'll want you to start again on this one. What do you think? Who do you think the new general manager might be, and what do you think that they may have in store for this one?
Ask me that. Oh man, it's going back. Cruiserweights. You know what? I don't know, the first name that came to mind and who I would love to see as general manager, Shane Helms. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not talking about Hurricane. I'm not talking about 3 Count. I'm talking about Shane Helms. I want the do-rag back. I want Shane Helms. I think he was always one of my favorite cruiserweights. I was gonna say Jamie Noble, but I'm not sure if I can listen to his voice for too long to be able to be an official with a lot of say. But I would have to say Shane Helms.
Absolutely. That would be big. I would love to see Shane Helms back. He was definitely a great talent back in the day. I think he's, quote me if I'm wrong, I think he's the longest reigning cruiserweight champion or light heavyweight champion in WWE or WCW history. When he came to WWE and went to the cruiserweight division, I think that he brought a real intensity to it. I mean, he didn't wrestle like your normal cruiserweight, doing a lot of high-flying moves. He brought a lot of high-impact maneuvers. He had a maneuver similar to the Code Break. I can't remember exactly how it went, but it was devastating. I really loved him. I would not be mad at that if he became the new general manager. I think that, however, 205 Live lacks a lot of viewership, so to speak. And I think that whoever the new general manager of 205 Live is going to be has to be somebody that's going to say, hey, I'm going to watch 205 Live because I want to see this person and I want to see what they're going to do with 205 Live or how they're going to run it. With that being said, a few names pop out to me. Other than, Raw 25, which we'll get about later on the show, I've seen Teddy Long come back a lot recently. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being Teddy Long. I also wouldn't be surprised if, they went more so with a name that you just haven't seen in the company as a wrestler, and they might bring them back as a general manager. I've heard Rey Mysterio saying that he wants to come back.
That would be dope.
I'll bet I would definitely think that Rey would probably come back more in a wrestling role or would want to come back in a wrestling role. But it would just be big for me to see, just to hear Rey Mysterio's name is going to be on 205 Live. I'm going to tune in. And, they want 205 Live to be a bigger show. They want it to be on par with the Raws, the SmackDown. I mean, even they want it to be on par with the NXT. I think that was one of the major reasons why Enzo was Cruiserweight champion for so long, just because he made it kind of entertaining a little bit just with his mic work and the promos that he was dropping on Neville. I wouldn't be surprised to see some names like that. I really think, however, though, we're probably going to get somebody that has already been a general manager before. So I wouldn't be surprised if you get a Teddy Long or possibly even Johnny Ace, who we saw on Raw 25 this week as well. As far as the title itself goes on that show, I would love to see Cedric Alexander be the Cruiserweight champion.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of bias behind that just because, he's the hometown guy from here in North Carolina. He's in the group Game Runners. By the way, follow Game Runners on Facebook. And it's just, you'd love to see a guy from where you're from make it, and he's very great talent. He showed out a lot in his match with Kota Ibushi in the cruiserweight tournament, and it's just he had the crowd chanting for him to be signed after that loss. So I think he has great potential. I think that he needs a little development in the character department, so to speak, but he's definitely a phenomenal talent, and I think that outside of the cruiserweight division, if he ever got a chance to make it to the main roster on SmackDown or Raw, to have a few that you could really see his talent showcased against somebody like maybe a Chad Gable, or a match with maybe Shinsuke Nakamura, or if he was on Raw, maybe a match with Seth Rollins, or just somebody in that kind of realm that can move with him. And I would love to see him as champion. I think that they're going to put the title on him. I wouldn't be surprised to see Mustafa Ali in the future, or Drew Gulak, which has a lot of fans right now. So I wouldn't be surprised with him being the champion either. Where do you think they're going to go into the direction with the title here?
I mean, I'd have to back you up 100% on Cedric Alexander. Like, if you don't like Cedric Alexander, you just don't like wrestling or any shades of cruiserweight, or any shades of old WCW cruiserweight style wrestling. I mean, he can do it all. I've seen him live when he got signed, before he went WWE full time in AML Wrestling here in North Carolina. He kind of held back on the wrestling. I was kind of surprised on, but he was actually a heel. I felt like he did a phenomenal job. No bias involved on being a heel. He worked the crowd. He did a lot of he cheated after he lost the match. He taunted one of a couple of the camera people, trying to blame them for the loss or whatever like that. I mean, I feel like if they gave him character freedom, I think he could bring a lot to 205, definitely as champion. So he's got my vote for cruiserweight, no doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I gotta root for the hometown guy at any point in time. I mean, and it's good to see guys from North Carolina really doing well in WWE. I don't know if you know this. He brought up Cedric before he got to the WWE and AML. Actually, the tag team, The Revival, one of my closest friends who used to announce for a local wrestling organization here, reminded me that I can't remember which one it is. The name is not coming to me right now just because I want to bring up this whole backstory. I always got to forget something here. But I want to say the bald one. I can't remember his name in WWE right now, but in locally here, he was known as Casey McKnight. He was actually a world champion for a federation here for the longest time. So I definitely got a glimpse of what he could do before he got to the main roster. It's just I can't help but be proud of him and be happy for him on the main roster here.
I'm thinking about Dawson, Scott Dawson.
I believe it is Scott Dawson, and that's who it is. That's who it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see the direction that this is going to go. I think that right now with the way 205 Live has been lacking with viewership, I think that if they don't have a big move with this general manager and make some, shakeups with this whole cruiserweight title situation, that I don't know if this is going to make it into 2019. And I hate to say that because, I mean, the tournament was really good, but I mean, nobody's really breaking their necks to watch 205 Live every week. And that's just me being as honest as I can possibly be for that. So I definitely hope that improves as well. Moving right along, I mentioned the Raw 25 earlier this week. This is definitely one of the first times that I personally watched the Raw from start to finish in quite some time. And I want to say that I was thoroughly impressed. Did you happen to catch Raw 25 this week?
I did. I caught most of it, about 2.5 hours of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was it was a nice little nostalgic, moment. Personally, would I have bought a ticket for more than like $45? I would have said probably no, but it was good to watch on TV.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a lot of great moments. I think that they opened up the show definitely the right way, with Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler there in the crowd, and then the classic bit of Stone Cold stunning Vince McMahon, which I did not think that Vince McMahon would be able to take that stunner and take that bump, but he actually did it. And I just marked out as if I was a 14-year-old kid again watching wrestling. Um, I I definitely say that was worthy of marking out, so to speak. Um, there were a lot of good parts from that. I think the from just a regular show standpoint, without all of the nostalgia, I like the fact that Miz is now the has the second most intercontinental title reigns in
I
WWE
think is it
history.
what, at 8 now, or is it 8?
He's at a 8 total. And you know me personally. You know that I have always, and I will never, I will never not tell you this and pass up an opportunity to say it. I've always been a fan of the Miz since day one, and it's just good to see him getting some type of recognition after being a main eventer and then kind of falling off for a couple of years, being like the designated jobber, and then coming back with the mic work to earn his keep in this uh, roster now, which is probably one of the deepest rosters that I've seen them have as far as talent wise. He always seems to make a way to make himself relevant and make whatever story he's in this relevant.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
definitely
I don't mean to cut you off, but he definitely has that passion, and I feel like that passion. I think would kind of I feel like a lot of wrestlers don't have. But and I knowing you, I know that you've always been a Miz fan. I didn't see it at first. I had no idea what you saw in Miz. I was, him standing next to Morrison. It was really hard to see Miz. I mean, Morrison in all his glory. But I mean, Miz has definitely evolved, and I think grown on myself. I can definitely admit that I didn't have faith in him. I didn't think he was going to last. But his passion, for what he does, whether it's in the ring, whether it's on talking smack, with Daniel Bryan, whether it's on Instagram, he truly loves what he does, and he's humble about it, and I'm really proud of him, and I wish him all the luck in the world.
absolutely, absolutely. So just touching on some more on Raw 25, just to kind of, not give the Miz so much time, even though I could talk about the Miz all night. I just want to talk about some more of the great moments that happened on Raw 25 that people may or may not have noticed or kind of shrugged off. One of the other top stories that I got from Raw, once again, not as far as nostalgia wise, but Elias, formerly known as
Yes.
Elias Sampson. I know you're a big fan of Elias.
Yes.
Elias got a big, huge rub from John Cena, which, this is an episode where John Cena didn't necessarily even have to be at this show. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Elias coming out that night, doing his whole shtick that he always does when he comes out. Everybody's loving it. He's got the crowd in the palm of his hand, cheering everything that he does. He's going through his whole shtick, and he gets interrupted by John Cena, who comes out there and kind of challenges him to a quote unquote fight. They get into it. They tussle. John Cena seems like he's getting the best of him. And just when you think in John Cena fashion that he's just going to go ahead and, F you this guy a couple of times and, walk away and leave him beat up, Elias all of a sudden hits a low blow and just proceeds to go to town on John Cena, who is probably still the biggest name in WWE right now. And I think that as a young, fresh talent, that's really huge for the WWE to even put that segment on the show, and not even just with John Cena, but I mean the whole segment beforehand with him being with Chris Jericho and Chris Jericho putting over Elias. So it makes me really see that I can look at that segment and say that WWE definitely has high hopes for Elias. I can't wait to see what that's going to turn into. Other than that, I mean, the Elias situation. Well, did you watch that whole segment?
Yeah, like you said, but between Jericho, Cena, the chemistry, I feel like he could have a good rivalry with almost anybody. Because I feel like he can, kind of just relate. The whole rock star thing with Jericho. I thought that was a really good idea. Oh my God! And just speaking of nostalgia, man, like not just old faces, but him, Jeff Jarrett, the guitar thing, bringing that back. I think that is whether it's on 25 Live, 25 or not, it just that brings so much magic back. So when he started, especially I was always a fan of Elias, but as soon as he started whacking people with that guitar, man, I was like, I was sold. So I thought that segment with Cena was amazing. I was surprised, like you said, that he was allowed to get over on Cena the way he did. But well deserved. Great character, great wrestler. I'm for him.
Absolutely. I think that he's definitely got a huge future. He's got all the potential in the world, and it's not the first time that we've seen potential, but I think that they really got something special there with Elias. And kind of in reverse in what you were saying about the Miz, that you didn't see it before. When I first saw Elias, I can definitely admit that I didn't see what was so special about him at first. Just seeing his first couple of matches and seeing the whole guitar playing thing, I thought it was unique, but I just like, well, this guy's probably just he's gonna fade off. But I mean, he's really, he's really changed my mind about him. I really can't wait to see what his future is going to be like. But other than Elias, I mean, a lot of other moments that were just marking out worthy, so to speak, were. I don't know if you call it the main event, but Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows with Finn Balor versus the Revival. Now, if you listen to that match on paper, you're thinking, oh, this is probably a great match, and that's where I'm going. The match itself was pretty terrible.
It was very short.
Yeah, it was very quick. It was very short, and the Revival got dominated. I didn't like that about that part, but the real marking out portion of that show was just that we got to see Finn Balor and the Bullet Club, Too Sweet DX, and them all be in one ring. And I think that was just an amazing moment to show that, hey, they're really endorsing these guys. And I want to say that this is really going to kickstart the future of the club. I think the club is really, really officially here now, more than when they first got here with AJ Styles. I think that they're going to really cater more to that whole thing, and I can't wait for that. Definitely was happy with seeing Scott Hall. I was always a Razor Ramon fan, always a Scott Hall fan. Any gimmick that he did, I was in love with it when I was a kid. I mean, I threw countless toothpicks all around the house when I was a child. It was great seeing him. A bunch of not so great moments was, however, WWE cutting to commercial when he was on his way to the ring.
I think that was planned.
I don't think that I've cursed my TV out as much as I did that moment in quite some time. I mean, you can't do anybody like that. I mean, if you're gonna get X-Pac a whole entrance, you got to give Razor Ramon his entrance.
I mean, but as far as they were kind of running on time. When they hit that main event, when they said main event, I was looking at the time. I was like, bro, we got like 2 minutes. So when Scott Hall came out, the car crash, it was cool, but I was like, this dude is he had like an Undertaker-esque stroll to him, and when they cut the commercial, I'm a Razor Ramon fan, Scott Hall, Wolfpack, whatever. But when they cut it, I was like, yo, that was probably the smartest thing they could have done, and just moved the show along.
I mean, while there's some that opinion is very valid, I don't think that's going to be a very popular opinion amongst other
Uh,
Scott Hall fans in the world. Ready to see him, but then again, as I always say, you can't please wrestling fans. So it's one way or another. The only other portion of the show that I wasn't really happy about was the whole poker game segment. I was happy to see some of the faces, as you know, I'm a huge MVP fan, Montel Vontavious all day. But I think that I don't want to play the race card here, but it seemed like they wanted to just kind of put all of the black talent on that one segment and kind of keep them quiet. Godfather wasn't in that one, but I mean, yeah, Titus Worldwide, we got MVP, we got the Usos, which they're Samoan, but they're black. I mean, they're black. We're not gonna not claim the Usos. And then with the New Day was in that segment as well. I mean, it's kind of like they kind of put them all in there because it's that classic. I don't know what to do with you guys here, so we're just gonna put you all in this segment. And people watch this segment. I mean, it was really kind of the worst segment of the night to me.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't really happy with that segment. All in all, with Raw 25, with the nostalgia, I definitely can give Raw 25 probably an 8, a strong 8 or 9. But just it was very inconsistent throughout the show. So just for an overall rating, I would probably give it about a 6.5 for that whole show. I mean, it kept me more excited than any other episode in quite some time. But it really didn't do anything to play into the Royal Rumble, which this was the last Raw before the Royal Rumble. And it could have really taken some of those moments to build some of the matches that we have coming up. I don't know. But moving right along with the Royal Rumble, that's my next topic. Once again, this is my second favorite pay-per-view of the year, second biggest pay-per-view of the year. It actually might be one of my favorites, actually. I mean, my favorite, actually. I don't know. Sometimes it's a toss-up between that one and Mania. But the Royal Rumble is going to be Sunday. And there's a lot of speculation on who everybody thinks is going to win the Royal Rumble. I know everybody is making their predictions right now, who they say they're going to win and, who they feel is going to get the push. A lot of people saying that Roman Reigns losing the title, the Intercontinental title Monday, signifies that he's going to win the Royal Rumble. But instead of just making the classic Royal Rumble prediction at first, what I want to introduce to you guys is something I call the Royal Rumble toss-up here. So rather than just saying who I think is going to win the Royal Rumble here, I want to give about 3 scenarios here. And I want to see what do you think would be the road to WrestleMania if these certain superstars won the Royal Rumble. The first one I know you would probably be excited about is one that I just thought about earlier this week. I think that Elias has a really good chance of winning the Royal Rumble off of that momentum from Monday night. Wayne, if Elias was to win the Royal Rumble, he's the last man standing Sunday. What do you think the plan is with Elias going into WrestleMania?
First, I'm going off. As I'm going to put that out there. I'm probably going to be the loudest one in the room. But man, I can't see him going against Brock. I don't know. I'm not even sure if we consider Lesnar a heel right now. I mean, I think he would just, do the classic, listen to my song, interruption, guitar smash here and there, and then suplex City over with. I as much as I love Elias, I don't see him, winning the Royal Rumble and being any more successful than anybody else has gone against Brock one-on-one.
All right, so pretty much you're saying if Elias won the Royal Rumble, it would be a sweet ride to WrestleMania, but ultimately he's going to lose.
Right.
I can't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, the way that Brock Lesnar has been booked for like the last 2 to 3 years, I don't really see a lot of people going over Brock. But I think if I see Elias win the Royal Rumble this weekend, like you said, first things first, I'm gonna go off. I'm definitely going to be very amped if he wins. I think there's a lot of scenarios you can go with it. Um, I don't know really what the Royal Rumble rules are, so to speak, right now with the roster split. I know that when Randy Orton won it last year, that he went directly for the title on SmackDown, which that's the show that he was on. But I don't know if you can also pull, shall I dare I say, Chris Benoit, and actually switch shows after winning the Royal Rumble and go after the other champion. So I think that you could definitely see Elias go against Brock, or you could see him decide after many, many segments of leading on to his decision, deciding to jump ship and going to SmackDown and going against the champion on SmackDown, which 95% chance is going to be AJ Styles at that point in time. I don't know about Elias's ring work, how good it would be. He would be in a match with AJ Styles. Then again, it's AJ Styles. He's going to make anybody look good. So I would think the best decision to go with would be put him over on SmackDown and have a match with AJ Styles if you really want to put Elias over as the future. But I think that if they stay on Raw and Elias was to win the Royal Rumble, I definitely see him going to Suplex City. And the only way, the slight chance that I can see him winning against Brock is if Brock is taking him to Suplex City, Braun Strowman comes out there, makes a distraction, Brock somehow overcomes Braun Strowman, and while he's distracted, he gets crushed with the guitar in the back of the head, gets hit with Elias's finisher, and Elias shocks the world and becomes the new Universal Champion.
I'm not sure if that would make people really happy or if it would piss people off.
In wrestling, there's really not a difference because you're still generating buzz. But I mean, I would like to see that. I love to see any surprise. I like the whole move with Jinder Mahal against what a lot of people
love a new face.
But I mean, I just like to see somebody else in that picture. I just don't. With Randy Orton and John Cena both leaving, I don't see anybody that's really been put over as legitimate. The next, Orton and Cena, or the next Rock and Stone Cold. So, I mean, right now, because you don't have that, you pretty much want to put as many people in the pot until you find that one person who's going to be able to hold that franchise spot. Which brings me to my next person. So we ran through that scenario with Elias. Another person that is very much primed to win the Royal Rumble could definitely be Finn Balor. Finn Balor is definitely one that I have said that he has been underutilized for a long time. He's the total package as far as he's got the look. Kids love him. Women love him. He's got a cool gimmick, great finisher. And now that the Bullet Club is back together, or the Balor Club is together, he's really primed to be. He could be primed to be a top face or a top heel just based off of the Balor Club alone. So what do you think would happen? The bell rings, Finn Balor becomes the Royal Rumble winner. Where does Finn Balor end up by WrestleMania?
Oh, man. It's just so much allusion to the NWO, of course. When it comes to, the Balor Club to me. And him having the advantage of Gallows and Anderson on his side against Brock Lesnar. I see a lot of ambushes. I see a lot of, him, like you said, he's got that, that appeal to him. They kids like him, women love him, but he can also, have that, that kind of Hogan kind of, bad boy stature. So I can see him, playing dirty, mind games, things like that with Brock, and still being over with the crowd. So like I said, I see a lot of ambushes. Maybe I definitely see, like I said, with the numbers game. I think he's the smallest of the contesters. Of people who've gone against Lesnar for the title. but with that numbers game, especially if he brings out the demon and doing the mind game, I think he's got a good. I want to say four, I don't know, 5 out of 10, like a 50-50 chance of beating him.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think that of the three contenders that we're going to discuss tonight, before we get to the third one, I think that this is the best pick to win the Royal Rumble, so to speak. I don't think that he's the most. Um, I don't think that he's number one as far as who the general consensus thinks is going to win the Royal Rumble, but I think he would be the best pick. If he does come away with either the Universal title or the WWE Championship, I think you ride him all the way to SummerSlam. Honestly, as champion, he's going to be once he gets his return to the championship, he's going to be a very huge star. I know I was speaking about Randy Orton and John Cena before. With the merchandise, this guy is going to be up there on that level.
Oh yeah.
Whether he's a heel or a face, it really doesn't matter. And it's one of those things, though. That's another thing you don't really get to see on the main roster. Somebody who can successfully be a heel or face and still be over, and still convincingly play the role on either side. Other than AJ Styles, I really don't see anybody else that's on the main roster that could really do that and really be legitimate. But I think that if Finn Balor wins it, he goes and still stays on Raw. He goes to WrestleMania to face Brock Lesnar or Braun Strowman if Braun Strowman is able to win this match this weekend, or Kane. I think that the numbers game comes into play, and I think that he overcomes. I think that he's my guarantee to win the world title if he wins the Royal Rumble. And I'm saying that now. If Finn Balor wins the Royal Rumble, he's going to win a world title. There's no stopping him. Whoever the champion is, he's going to win. And I know that's a bold statement of him going against Brock, but I think that he's gonna come out on top. We already saw what type of match that him and AJ Styles could do. It could be a very huge story. It could be that'll be the biggest story of WrestleMania if Finn Balor decides to jump ship and go to SmackDown and face AJ Styles for the World Heavyweight Championship, and we have an all Bullet Club main event WrestleMania.
That would be. I never thought about that before. That would be pretty interesting.
Oh, I just got goosebumps thinking about that. I mean, they already had a great match, and it's just, it'll really solidify the new direction of where WWE is going if he wins that. But man, I would love to. I mean, just like I said with Brock, if he goes and AJ Styles and Finn Balor wrestle at WrestleMania for the world title, Finn Balor is walking away with that title. I guarantee it. But yeah, that's my safest pick there. And moving right along just to the last scenario here, it might not be as big of a pick as the first two. But the one person that everybody has been predicting pretty much since he left the company a few months back to be the Royal Rumble. Well, the Royal Rumble winner is Dolph Ziggler. So walk me through once again, just like with the previous two. Dolph Ziggler comes in, boom, number 30 in the Royal Rumble, walks away winning the Royal Rumble. What do they do with Dolph Ziggler?
Man, Dolph Ziggler has been off the radar for so long, man. Just the losses, the gimmick, the gimmick infringements, and just the overall disrespect and lack of recognition. For him to win the Royal Rumble, I think, man, that would be, I don't know, that's the his show off persona would just explode. He just beat 30 men after being on his back 1, 2, 3 for so long. I feel like that would bring back the hair flicking, the whole cockiness of his character, and I think he would just really come into himself. And for him to not just being on SmackDown, I think he would even if anybody were to show off and switch shows, I think it would be Ziggler. smart idea. I don't think so. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like he would just, I don't know. I feel like that would be the biggest upset of probably the decade. If he won the Royal Rumble and won either title, just considering his the past couple of years he's been through with WWE.
Mhm. Absolutely. Dolph is definitely. I think that every wrestling fan who's been watching SmackDown over the past, 5 to 10 years, um, has definitely been a huge Dolph Ziggler fan. You can't help but like the guy. Um, Phenomenal athlete, very great in the ring, probably one of the best sellers, if not the best seller that we've seen since Shawn Michaels, and maybe even better than Shawn Michaels, dare I
I
say
think
it. I
he's
know
better.
that, it might piss a lot of people off, but he might be better selling
He's
at
more
selling than
realistic.
Shawn
Yeah.
Michaels ever was. But then again, that does piss people off. Like I said, you can't please wrestling fans. So hey, if you want to crucify me on that. But as much as I love Dolph Ziggler, I really don't know. It's really hard to predict what direction that you go in if Dolph Ziggler walks into the Royal Rumble and walks away the winner and is guaranteed a spot at Royal Rumble. Because, like you said, it's just been so long since he's been in the main event picture, that as much as I want it to happen, I just don't see them putting him over. I see him being screwed one last time, like he's always had, like he always has been, and it's sad that it's come to that, but it's just I don't come to expect Dolph Ziggler winning another world title. Would I be excited? I would probably be more excited for him than either of the other two if he did win the Royal Rumble, and even more excited if he won the World Championship. But it's hard to wrap my mind around him getting a W, and winning the strap. But if he walks away, I think that he stays on SmackDown. I think that he goes against AJ Styles. I think that they're going to put on a hell of a match because I don't think that Dolph Ziggler has gotten a chance to be a major part of WrestleMania for as long as he's been in the company. I don't think that he's really ever had a big match, and he's always got that big match potential. So, I mean, he can go out there and he and AJ can go for 30, 40, 50 minutes, and it's just going to be one of the greatest things that you ever seen. But I just can't fathom. I think that if he goes against AJ Styles, AJ walks away still champion, and we go back to square one, wondering, all right, who's going to be the next guy to take the title from him? Who's going to be the next feud that he goes into? More than likely, he, feuds with somebody like Shinsuke Nakamura, or maybe it's not even AJ Styles who has the title. Maybe he loses the title in this handicap match at Royal Rumble, and it's either Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens that Dolph Ziggler goes into WrestleMania fighting. I think the best story-wise, though, was like you were saying. I think that it would be a stupid decision on his part, but the whole gimmick that he's been doing about wanting to stop being overlooked, he could have a lot of bravado after winning the Royal Rumble and say, I want to go and fight the Beast because I've been overlooked for so long. And, I want to prove that day in, day out, I'm the best in this ring, and I want to go up against the best. And he would proceed to get the worst suplex city in the history of suplex cities, and would probably be buried by farther than any way of ever coming back after that point. But I definitely can't see him winning against Brock Lesnar at all. I don't think that's happening.
I can see it because he's the least likely. And especially considering him dropping the U.S. title like he did, to me was a statement of I'm better than this. Mm-hmm. So if he's better than that, why not go after the main prize, the main title? Or not even say, or even say, hey, I'm better than AJ Styles, or I'm better than SmackDown. Let me go after I'm better than the world. I want to be the Universal Champion. So if he won it, man, I think that would be the most shocking to me. And if he were to bring the Raw Universal Champion back to Raw, he would have my full support. So I think it is more than possible, and I think he has my support more than any of the three.
Absolutely, I think that he would definitely have my support more than any of them as well. But it's just I just can't. I can't see them doing it. I mean, I
Right.
really want it so bad, but I can't. They've done it. They've done him so wrong for so many years. It's like, watch change now. Um, but going into that, we'll definitely get more into some predictions in a little while here. Before we get to this last segment here, before we talk about Royal Rumble predictions, I want to give a little time to the quote unquote A show. Between a lot of wrestling fans, me included. NXT TakeOver Philadelphia is this Saturday night. And there's only 5 matches on the card, but when I tell you this is one hell of a card, this is one hell of a card. We have the Velveteen Dream versus Cassius Ohno, which is going to be a very hard-hitting match. What's your predictions on this match? Who do you think comes out with the victory here?
You said between Velveteen and Cassius?
Cassius Ohno and the Velveteen Dream. Patrick Clark.
Velveteen, I mean, all the way. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, nothing against him, but I've never been an Ohno fan. Velveteen, man, especially after his match against Aleister Black. That match had me sold. Not just the match, man, but like when he wore those tights with his face and Aleister's face on them, bringing back that going back to Raw 25, the nostalgia, bringing back that that Rick Rude kind of feel to the attire. I'm a fan. It took me a long time and holding back in a lot of personal feelings, but Velveteen hands down.
Absolutely. The Velveteen Dream is definitely, I think you just said it, and pretty much the general consensus with a lot of people, especially those of our hue, is just that they weren't really sold on the gimmick and thought it was stupid initially. And I think that he's done a phenomenal job of executing that gimmick, and he's pretty much won everybody over with that gimmick. His ring work has been excellent. Like you said, the match with Aleister Black, oh my goodness, that was my NXT match of the year. I don't know if I didn't get to see who else was voting, but when I voted, I definitely voted for that match as match of the year. Yeah, there's no way Cassius Ohno is going to come out of this match as a winner. I think the Cassius Ohno is definitely an NXT to be an enhancement talent. It was just put on the card, I think, what was it, yesterday? So, I mean, I think that Ohno was definitely taking the L there to put over Velveteen. The next match on the card, my favorite tag team in NXT, one of my favorite tag teams in wrestling before they even got to NXT, the current NXT champions, tag team champions. I guess they're the undisputed era in NXT, but I still want to call them Red Dragon. But they're going against the Authors of Pain. What's your prediction on this one? Who's coming out with the title? Who's coming out?
I'm gonna still have to say undisputed. I mean, they're still so fresh. I think this the group. It still has so much to offer. Of course. Mini Shawn Michaels has got to show his face. I mean, I don't see Authors of Pain winning. I see them possibly even making an entry in the Royal Rumble and moving away from NXT. I mean, they've been tag team champions before in NXT, right?
Yeah, they've been NXT tag team champions before.
Yeah, so they've been there, done that. Undisputed is still up and coming. I won't say up and coming. They're the ring veterans, but they're still, their faces are still fresh. So I'm gonna keep the titles on them.
Absolutely. I definitely agree 100% with that entire sentiment. I don't see the Undisputed Era losing this match. There's still plenty more tag teams for them to have classic matches with over the next few months. Authors of Pain are kind of becoming what Sami Zayn was in NXT. It's like, all right, you came here, you made your mark. When are you going to go to the main roster? Like, there's really nothing else for you to do. I don't know why you're still here. Just go to the main roster. I don't care what show that you're on. Go and make an impact. And believe me, when the Authors of Pain hit the main roster, they are going to make a huge impact. I definitely see them going to SmackDown, possibly challenging either the New Day or the Usos or both. I definitely see that happening. But on to the next match. This will probably be the worst match on the card, but it's not going to really be a bad match. But the NXT Women's Championship, Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler. I'm not really big on Shayna Baszler right now. I think she's very green. She's very new. Personally, I see Ember coming away with this match. I don't see it being a great match, but I definitely see Ember coming away with this one. How about you?
I'm kind of biased when it comes to Ember Moon. Just to the look. I have to support my women of color. Her finisher, phenomenal. Her being, to me, the next best thing since Asuka. I feel like that was the closest equivalent. I have to, nothing against Shayna Baszler, but Ember Moon has got my vote.
Absolutely. Ember Moon all the way on that one. I love the finisher as well. I want to see her adapt one more finisher that's going to be a little bit smoother to transition into than that one. I think that top rope finishers that aren't, diving against the opponent that's on the ground are very hard to hit. I think that the best one was probably the Blockbuster to me. But it's just I hated Kennedy's maneuver when Mr. Kennedy was on SmackDown. I mean, it was a cool finisher, but I thought that it didn't look natural and it was too long to set up. And I had the same sentiment with Ember Moon's finisher. Very hot finisher, very great finisher, but it doesn't flow into the setup. And she's tried to make it work. She's hit it very quickly in a couple of matches. But it's just that it's like if you're outside of the ring or on the apron, I pretty much know you're about to go for your finisher.
Oh, yeah.
So then I got all the time in the world to get out of the way. But we're not going to spend too much time bashing her finisher. I love Ember Moon. I don't want to drag Ember Moon through the mud. If anybody dislikes or likes her, just know that my stance is I love Ember Moon. And that's my nephew's favorite wrestler as well, a favorite female wrestler. But moving right along, speaking of favorite wrestlers, we were just talking about my nephew's favorite wrestler. Now we get to the match talking about my personal favorite wrestler on NXT, and quite possibly yours too, if I know you as well as I know you.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Aleister Black versus Adam Cole.
Baby.
Whew, this is going to be a great match. This is going to be the match of the night, in my opinion. It's going to be a very stiff match. It's going to be some hard shots. And it is an Extreme Rules match, which I have not seen an Extreme Rules match that's worth watching in quite some time. So what are your sentiments on this match? Who is coming away with
Aleister Black? My boy, I follow him on Instagram. The tattoos are awesome. He wears the fitted caps. I can't get away with it, but I'm glad he can. The music. Oh my God. That's like the most hard-hitting music, dopest entrance, very Brood-esque. Shout out to, Gangrel. He can do it all. He can fly. He can strike. Awesome ring presence, man. Been impressed with him day one. However, Especially it being Extreme Rules, no DQ, the numbers game, man. Adam Cole using the Undisputed Era to his advantage. I I want Aleister Black to win. I don't see him. I don't think he has any allies to really keep him safe from the hyena. So I'm gonna have to say I have to vote against Aleister Black in this situation to vote for Adam Cole.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I got the exact same sentiment on that one as well. I want Aleister Black to win. He's definitely my personal favorite on NXT right now. I love the black mask. I love the setup to it. I love the entrance music. I can't help but scream his entrance music until I'm almost hoarse every time he comes out. But the numbers game is always going to be hard to overcome. And I think that we already saw Aleister kind of go over in a one-on-one match against Adam Cole in the tournament. And I think that I don't see the Undisputed Era allowing this match to end clean, so to speak. And I think that I haven't watched NXT probably in about 2 or 3 weeks, all the way through. So I'm not sure. Is his number one contender? I mean, not number one. Is his undefeated streak still intact?
I haven't watched it since Gargano won the 4-way to make him number one contender. But I have not heard of Aleister Black losing a match yet.
So I might have to check with my sound guy in the background here. Have him search in the background to see if that the undefeated singles streak is still alive, so to speak. But if so, I think this is his first loss in a one-on-one match. If not, if he's already taken a loss, I still either way I see Aleister Black losing. So I think I see Adam Cole winning this one. Yeah, but do we count those though?
Was it Black who got pinned?
Yeah.
Oh,
Black was the one that got pinned, but do we count Fatal 4-way losses in undefeated streaks? Does that count as his first loss on the?
I don't think Kurt Angle counted it when he was going through his undefeated phase when he first started. I think he was trying to discredit a tag match or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard of it not count.
Yeah, I mean, whether it counts or not, if it doesn't count, I think that we see his first singles loss at this pay-per-view. But thanks to Professor John Gotti for the fact check there for us. If you guys haven't listened before, make sure you guys check on every Wednesday night, Debate Amongst Friends with the Professor John Gotti and Doc Wednesday night. Very awesome show. But finally, back into NXT TakeOver, we go back to the main event, the NXT Championship. Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano. Who's walking away with the NXT Championship in this one?
Man, that's difficult, man. Huge fans of both of them. God. Oh man. I have to say, I just considering how fresh Almas is with the title, I'm gonna have to go with Almas. Gargano, especially coming out. I mean, he was like the smallest guy in that Fatal 4-way amongst Black. I forget the big guy's name. Anyway, him being such an underdog and him coming out that strong. I can see. I don't know. I can see. I mean, he has all the ability and the capability. The skill to hold. Get over on this match and hold the NXT Championship and be over with the crowd and and bring in dollars, but it just it's almost it being so soon. I don't see him. I don't see Gargano getting it quite yet. I'm gonna have to go with Almas.
And the start of that is exactly what the way that I felt. This one is probably the most difficult match of the night to predict, so to speak. As the other ones, the other four matches on the card pretty much are a lock to me. Anything can happen, but I mean, this one it could really seriously go either way. I can see Gargano winning and a feud, jumping right into a feud with Tommaso Ciampa. I could also see him losing as well, and Almas retaining. My only thing is if Almas retains, where do we go from here as far as the match that he goes into? Because I think that he's still kind of heel. I don't see Adam Cole going one-on-one with him and them having like a heel versus heel main event. It could be Aleister Black, versus Cien Almas, but as great of a match as that would be, I don't know what type of feud that would be leading up to the match, so to speak. But it could definitely be a great match regardless of the feud. It'll be an awesome match. But
Guaranteed.
I think that I'm going to be I'm going to play the devil's advocate here just because you picked
Almas.
Because you picked Almas, I'm going to go Gargano here.
Okay, fair.
I'm going to go Gargano here. I think that the continuation of main event feuds carries on with Gargano better than it would with Almas, and that's the only valid argument that I can make with that, because otherwise, I mean, it could go either way legitimately with either one of those guys. But overall, I think the pay-per-view it's gonna be a strong 9. Strong between 8 and 10, like it always is with NXT. I've never really seen a bad NXT takeover, and I don't see any reason why that's gonna change now. But yeah, I can't definitely wait to watch that. So let's get into the main pay-per-view this weekend. It's a lot of matches on the pay-per-view, so I'm going to try to go through this one a little bit quicker than we went through the NXT predictions here. But the Royal Rumble this weekend, a lot of matches. We already know the biggest match of the show that we're waiting for here. Let's take a look at the match card that we have for Royal Rumble this weekend here. Let's see. And pardon me for not being prepared and having this already up here, but let me just fact check everything. Sound guy, if you want to edit this out later on, you can definitely do that as well. Royal Rumble 2018 here. So our match card that we have 6 matches on the card. Looks like we'll start with the tag team championships for SmackDown. We got the champions, the Usos versus Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, in an interesting match type here that I haven't really seen in quite some time. A 2 out of 3 falls match this weekend. Who do you see winning this match?
Oh man, after watching a bit of SmackDown, the way Chad Gable handled Jey Uso, also Shelton Benjamin being a longtime favorite, the technique, the power, the wings, the man can fly. I don't know. I feel like Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin have the ability on their side. Uso is more of the style. I don't think style is going to really help them keep the title, so I'm gonna have to go with Gable and Benjamin.
Okay, I can definitely see that. I think the Usos are white hot right now, and I really don't want to see them lose the titles just as of yet. Just because I just have this great feeling every time that either the Usos or the New Day are the tag team champions, that the tag team division is at its peak. When you have either one of those teams as the tag champions, and not to say anything bad about Chad Gable or Shelton Benjamin, those are probably the two best wrestlers on the actual show behind AJ Styles. Uh, I, the personality just isn't there as a tag team between those two for me. It's like it's not the same as American Alpha to me. And I think that's what they were kind of trying to go for, that American Alpha 2.0. But maybe I'm just selfish because I want to see Shelton Benjamin be a single star on SmackDown, and maybe that's why maybe I don't want them to succeed. But I'm gonna go with the Usos on this one. I'm definitely gonna say I'm gonna go with them winning this one. Next match on the card, we're going to go to the Raw Tag Team Championships, which, I hate to dump all over the tag team division on Raw, but I mean, just right here, you see SmackDown is having a 2 out of 3 falls match, and Raw is just having a regular tag team match between The Bar versus Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins.
Sounds like a Raw match.
Yeah, this sounds like a Raw match that we've probably seen a billion times before the pay-per-view actually comes up. I'm not going to spend much time on explaining this one. I definitely see The Bar winning the championships in this one. I see Jason Jordan turning on Seth Rollins on this one. Me and everybody else that's been watching, Raw for the last whatsoever ever since this tag team came together. I think this is where you see Jason Jordan make his official turn to go 100% completely heel in this match.
I agree. I'm gonna have to vote on The Bar as well. If not a heel turn, Jason being green and full of himself, costing him the titles, either and possibly even Seth, playing the neutral and performing a curb stomp on Kurt Angle's little boy, but Bar all the way.
Absolutely, that could be an interesting twist. Everybody's thinking Jason Jordan is going to go heel, and it could be Seth Rollins that actually makes the heel turn
in this situation.
Although I don't see it. He's got a history. I mean, it's guys like him and Triple H that have you always think they're going to turn on their partner at some point in time. Next match on the card here, I'm going to go for. We'll go for the SmackDown Heavyweight Championship first here. So the handicap match for the SmackDown WWE Championship. I think this is kind of a stupid match, so to speak. I don't see how you can officially have a handicap match for a world title. I don't see how they're going to book it with both of them being the world heavyweight champion. If they do win, I guarantee you, just because of the caliber of stars that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are, that it could be entertaining. But I just don't see how you can make much sense of them being joint WWE champions. So I'm definitely going to go with AJ Styles in this match.
I agree. What would make him more phenomenal than to be able to beat Kevin and Sami same night with his title on the line? Especially, I mean, watching the shows before the actual pay-per-view, it's been my experience. Whatever happens, that the night before the pay-per-view is kind of the opposite of what happens on the pay-per-view. Not to ruin any magic, but AJ's losing on SmackDown, beating Owens and then losing to Sami. I don't see that happening again at the pay-per-view. I'm going to AJ Styles.
Absolutely. Next match, the triple threat match for the WWE Universal Championship. Champion Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman and Kane. This one, I'm on the fence about who's going to win this one. I think that we could very well see Braun Strowman's first title win in this pay-per-view, with Kane eating the pin and possibly setting up for a one-on-one match with Brock and Braun at WrestleMania, so to speak. So I'm going to pick the dark horse in this match. I'm going to go Braun Strowman winning this one.
Braun, because I mean, just Braun is so over. I feel like he's the most over person on Raw. Him,
Valid.
losing to Brock Lesnar 1-on-1. What was it? A Great Balls of Fire? Was it? I'm not sure exactly what pay-per-view was, but him losing to Brock, I mean, I felt like he was like our golden child, and everybody had so much faith in him, and him losing, not only disappointed us all, but I feel like really set a fire under Braun, and having a black sheep in the match like Kane, I definitely see it, like you said, him pinning Kane for the win. I'm going Braun.
Absolutely. For the next two matches of the night, first ever women's Royal Rumble match. I have a personal favorite that I would want to win this match. I think it is going to be. I don't know how much this match is going to really live up to the hype. I'm really excited for it, but outside of the four horsewomen and the two factions that they've been trying to put over for the last month or so, I don't know how great that you're going to see this match be. If there's a lot of spots like there usually is in the regular Royal Rumble, I would be happy. But I don't see this match living up to the hype. My winner, my personal favorite that I have winning this match, and probably everybody who might think this is going to win this match, I'm going to go with Nia Jax on this one.
Oh man,
that's actually had a fair shake at the championship, and I think it would make the most sense with her going against her quote unquote bestie or best friend in Alexa Bliss in this one.
I'm a numbers game kind of person. I want to say Paige.
I think Paige is not in the match.
Oh, she's not in the match?
Paige has been injured. She was injured in a match against Sasha Banks a few weeks back, and the injury is very serious. I want to say that they said it's a career-ending or threatening injury. I can't remember. But she's not going to be in the Royal Rumble from what I've heard. Now it could be a work, and she could end up being in the Royal Rumble after all. But from right now, I don't think she's confirmed to be in the Royal Rumble. Once again, in the background, we can have our sound guy fact check that one for us as well. But I think that she's pretty much done.
All right. I have to say Naomi.
Interesting. Why Naomi?
She's come a long way, man. From being a funkadactyl. I mean, in her, going through her little bad girl phase. Her, being, with Jimmy Uso. I'm Uso fan. Her appeal. I mean, just I can't find anything not to like about her. I mean, I'm not really crazy about her glow gimmick, but I've always liked her in-ring style. I feel like she's the most athletic to go against Charlotte if she retains up to WrestleMania. Just to see her, go from where she came from to be where she is to the main event WrestleMania. I think she had to sit out last WrestleMania in her hometown, right? Was it Texas? Absolutely. No, it wasn't Texas. It was Florida or something. She had to sit out last WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, she had to sit out in Orlando. She got injured right when she won the title, I believe, at Elimination Chamber before the pay-per-view. During that match or during that stretch, she got injured and had to relinquish the title.
Yeah, I can see her redeeming herself this year against Charlotte.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't be mad at that. It kind of sucks that we don't have a women's title on the line at the pay-per-view. Now that I think about it, for Raw or SmackDown, it seems that all of the title matches that were scheduled to be on the Royal Rumble were scrapped, other than the tag and world heavyweight titles on both shows. So we don't have a U.S. Championship match. We don't have an Intercontinental Championship match. the Cruiserweight Championship match that was supposed to be Enzo Amore and Cedric Alexander was scrapped. So I think that this pay-per-view has had a lot of edits to it. I mean, I think to save this pay-per-view, it's going to be something. They're going to need something very big to happen in the main event in the Royal Rumble. So going into that match, this is probably the first Royal Rumble in a long time where I have a running list of about 4 or 5 people that I think will win the Royal Rumble. I think that my favorite to win goes back to our Royal Rumble toss-up earlier is going to be Finn Balor. So I'm going to go with Finn Balor winning this one. But I would be happy with either Finn Balor winning, Dolph Ziggler winning, Elias winning, or Samoa Joe winning in this one. I would be ecstatic to see either of those 4 walk away winning the Royal Rumble.
Who do you think I want to win the Royal Rumble? Who would piss you off the most? Who do you think I would be the loudest and probably rub in your face the most if you won the Royal Rumble?
Well, I tell you, if it's who I feel like you are about to say, I would probably cancel my WWE subscription, right? If you tell me that Baron Corbin wins the Royal Rumble,
damn Corbin. Yo, super fan of Baron Corbin. Power, strikes. I feel like he's got the best strikes since Undertaker. Deep Six comes out of nowhere. Probably one of the most unique finishers, and he's big enough to do it on anybody. I'm going, bruh. Unlikely, but just on a leap of faith, I'm putting all my chips on Baron Corbin, and it would just be so sweet if I could just take them chips back, and just rub it all in you guys' face. That would make the best pay-per-view, probably Royal Rumble of all time for me. Lone Wolf.
I guess it would be similar to me cheering Jack Swagger years ago into winning the Money in the Bank. So I can definitely see where your excitement would be in that one. You know personally how I feel about Baron Corbin, which I've actually lightened up on Baron Corbin. He has gotten better, I will definitely admit. But I don't know if they have that much faith in Baron Corbin as a world champion to make him a Royal Rumble winner. And I could be wrong. He could walk out and win the Royal Rumble and go and beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania and become the new world heavyweight champion. It's definitely a possibility. But man, it wouldn't be my favorite scenario. But then again, as I've said a few times earlier in the show, you can't please wrestling fans. So if it happens and it pisses people off, hey, that's more buzz this generation.
And the modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal, very impressed with his evolution. Just him doing such a great job as a heel. I know 9 out of 10 people don't like him, don't want anything to do with him, don't want to give him a chance. Huge fan, great physique. His demeanor is extremely intimidating. Glad he brought back the Dream Streak. Between him and Baron Corbin, I would be more than satisfied.
Absolutely. And kind of to go back to fact check one of the people that I said that I would like to win the Royal Rumble earlier, kind of like how you were saying with Paige, they actually pulled her from the Women's Royal Rumble. Samoa Joe actually would not be able to win the Royal Rumble because I do see now that he actually was pulled from the Royal Rumble. Earlier this month, he has a foot injury, so he will not be a participant. There will be a lot of I see there being a lot of surprises in both the Royal Rumbles. There's roughly only half of the competitors have been confirmed for both of those. So I can definitely see a lot of surprise entrants into those matches. You may see 2 or 3 legends pop up. I would not be surprised at all to see MVP show up, with the gray hair and the leotard and the chain. I would just amp just to hear that clock tick when he comes out. That
I want the Jamboree. I want the blow up Jamboree.
Unless he's number 1 in the Royal Rumble, I don't see them putting together that whole
Probably.
domed entrance, but it would be epic if they did, and I would definitely mark out if that was to happen. Um, I could definitely see Trish Stratus being a surprise competitor in the women's Royal Rumble. I don't think that we saw Lita before when they were going over some of the women on Raw 25, so I wouldn't be
She was not
surprised to
there.
see Lita come back. Um, you got to have a surprise entrance that wasn't at Raw 25, so I think that would be my pick for that. Um, all in all, I think that with this entire pay-per-view, with the Royal Rumble, it's a big pay-per-view. I think the match, depending on who the winner of the Royal Rumble is, I don't see it ending badly. Unless we walk away with a Roman Reigns, John Cena, or Randy Orton win, I'll be pretty much happy with this pay-per-view for
I
that
agree.
match. Overall, I'm expecting this whole pay-per-view to end up being maybe a 6.5. If it exceeds that, I would be happy, but I don't see it garnering more than that much of a rating. A, because of all of the cancellations that have happened to the pay-per-view, where if you cancel that many matches for the pay-per-view, there's been right now there's 2 matches that were pulled. The United States Championship tournament was actually supposed to end at the pay-per-view, which they ended up rushing through that last week, and Bobby Roode won the United States Championship. And then, of course, the whole Enzo Amore situation has been scrapped after his termination. I think that a week's notice, 2 weeks' notice is very short to change the way things happen from a writing standpoint. So you might see a lot of sloppiness that goes on in one of those matches before the pay-per-view. But then again, I mean, other than Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins versus The Bar, I mean, you pretty much got all your guys that you know what you're going to get from them before the Royal Rumble as well. So then again, it may not be sloppy. You might get exactly what you expect. How do you feel that this pay per view is going to end? What is your rating that you think that the Royal
Even
Rumble
considering even considering the pools, man. With both tag matches, I think they're going to be good matches. I think the SmackDown Tag Team Title match is going to be more of a show than the Raw, but I feel like the Jason Jordan and Seth have more of a story they can build off of. The women's, the women's Royal Rumble, I think that's it's revolutionary. I mean, you can't help but support it. Just always that anxiety of who's going to finally slay the beast. It's always a moneymaker. Definite get your drinking chips beforehand situation. The Royal Rumble, like you said, probably my favorite pay-per-view. I see it being an 8, man. I don't see like a whole lot of bad to come of it. I mean, Royal Rumble's always it's setting up such a big hype with the next couple months. Leading into WrestleMania. That being, of course, number one. I see nothing but good coming out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's a good rating. We definitely won't know until the pay-per-view gets here. I'm going to probably do a review either after the pay-per-view, or I'll do a very short review on a very short show next week. But I definitely can't wait to watch both of those pay-per-views this weekend. I don't want to take too much time further on the show. I mean, talking with you on the show, we talk about wrestling all the time. So this didn't even feel like a show tonight. It just felt like me and my best friend talking, and that's what we did. I definitely love to do this again. But we are running very short on time here. So I just want to end with a final thought. If you guys have never listened to the show before, or if you've never listened to Debate Amongst Friends before, we do usually like to end the show with a final thought. outside of our other discussions. So my final thought tonight, very interesting topic here. I know that we've had a lot of attention on Enzo Amore this week, but our behind the scenes guy, Professor John Gotti, posted a link and tagged us in it that actually Carmella and Big Cass have actually broken up. So that's another tag team or another team that's broken up there. I'm gonna have to take some time to see what happened with this whole situation. But I'm definitely sad to hear that. I was definitely have loved to see when Big Cass returns from injury, Carmella possibly being his valet, or either him going to SmackDown and then being a heel faction on SmackDown would have been something that could have been very huge. So I'm very disappointed in that. Wayne, would you like to end the show on anything that's on your mind wrestling related tonight?
No, nothing that you haven't already covered. Just really looking forward to Takeover. Really looking forward to the Royal Rumble. Hanging out with you guys. Even if the show's a complete flop, man, just knowing and I'll be with you. And other people that we know. And just having a good time. I'm just excited, and I really appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Oh, no problem. Anytime, man. You know, there's always a seat for you at the table here, and that goes for any of my other wrestling compadres out there. If you guys ever wanted to come on the show, talk about any topic that you want to, if you wanted to get your debate on against me about anybody that I like, or if you wanted to debate about somebody that you like that possibly I don't like, I'd be most obliged for you to be on the show. But other than that, that will do it. Once again, thank you guys for listening. Wayne, thank you for being on the show. You guys follow Game Runners on Facebook at The Game Runners. Follow Debate Amongst Friends. Listen to the Debate Amongst Friends podcast on Wednesday nights. Debate Amongst Friends. That's with Professor John Gotti, the Professor John Gotti, the data analyzing ninja himself, and Doc Wednesday night. And on that note, you guys have a great night.